What is happening, Gothamites? Welcome back to the O1 channel, and today we have something important to talk about. Although, we've brought it up in the past, but Keaton has said officially why he has quit. Well, at least publications are talking about it for the first time. You want to know what's going on, you have to wait till right after this. Alrighty, so for the first time in a very long time, because trades don't seem to listen to when Keaton actually speaks, because he made known years ago, almost 10-15 years ago, why he quit doing Batman. Essentially, to sum it up back then, he said, well, it was becoming a joke. They were, going away from dark Batman stories, and they wanted to brighten things up. And, I showed up, I talked to the guy, and I said, hey, this isn't the right direction to go. I'm just paraphrasing how Keaton speaks. And he walked away, even though they offered him up to $25 million, sometimes the reports are even higher, to stay on for the third Batman film. He stuck to his guns and he left. So, recently, Keaton has been making the rounds, talking to a lot of different trades, and the story is pretty much the same as it's always been. He goes into a little bit more details because he wasn't as kind to Joel Schumacher, but since the man has passed away, he's being, relatively kind, and just kind of explaining it another way, but the story is basically the same thing. So, after the events of Batman Returns, Warner Brothers was not happy with the dark direction that the movie went. And Keaton was going to be brought back as the star, and Burton was out, Joel Schumacher came in. Now, Schumacher, from, pressure from Warner Brothers, had to make a lighter-toned Batman movie. But the problem is, he went to a more campier style of Batman, and Keaton just didn't like that. In fact, Keaton actually pleaded with Joel Schumacher several times, in his own words, to not do this because it's a dark story that makes Batman a compelling character. And Joel Schumacher's response was, well, does it really need to be dark? And Keaton's like, do you not read the books? Do you not understand who this character is? Why he's a tragic character? I mean, come on, man. And eventually, Keaton just walked. The direction wasn't where the character was going. He saw the writing on the wall and he knew everything was going to be very bad going forward. And so he stuck to his guns and he was like, that's it, I'm out. And then, of course, they replaced him with Val Kilmer. And you know that as the Batman movies went on, they became more and more campy because the director and Warner Brothers were kind of in this mindset, why does Batman need to be a dark, tragic character? And Keaton's just like, I mean, come on, guys. This is ridiculous. So just in Keaton's own words, so when Burton, Timmy, we made the gritty, critically acclaimed Batman movie, right? Staying true to Wayne's emotional honesty. Always looking at his dark past and psyche that brought him to, superheroic vigilantism. It's always Bruce Wayne. It was never Batman, Keaton said. Both the appeal of the character and the key to understanding what that character is. To me, I know the name of the movie is Batman, and it's hugely iconic, right? And the very cool and crucial iconic because Burton, or Timmy, he gets it right from the get-go. It was Bruce Wayne, and Batman was this guy. That was the secret. I never talked about it. Everyone would say, oh, Batman does this, and I keep thinking to myself, you're all thinking wrong here. It's all about Bruce Wayne. What kind of person does that, Who goes and does that? What kind of person continues to put on the suit? You know what I'm saying? So, for Keaton, more or less, it wasn't necessarily that Bruce Wayne was the mask and Batman was the real persona. In Keaton's eyes, Bruce Wayne was the guy who's gone through this horrible stuff, and Batman is what he does. It's how he lashes out at the world. It's how he makes sense of the world. But to Keaton, it was kind of a job. And if you go back and you watch the Burton films, that's the mindset that he had. And then, of course, Kevin Conroy, when he came into the role, he went more with the comics in mind. And yes, they were dark stories, but at the same time, Bruce Wayne was the performance, and Batman was who he was. It was his identity. So you can see that the different Batmen bring different things to the role, which we're going to see with the Batman coming out in March. What Robert Pattinson does with his take on the character. And I thought I would just share that because, I mean, I've been saying for years the reason why Keaton gave up being Batman, it was very obvious. You know, he didn't like the direction the studio was going. He even showed up for a costume fitting, and they just wouldn't budge. No matter what he did, they just... It wasn't necessarily about it being oversaturated with villains. They wanted to do this thing where they wanted to lighten up and go back to the campy style of the Batman stuff, and it just didn't really work. It didn't work for a Batman story or any of that stuff. And Keaton was just like, he walked. And that's the Batman that I grew to respect. Even though Batman Forever wasn't that bad of a movie, you have to admit that it was very toyetic, and then it just kept snowballing from there. They changed it to the point where it was unrecognizable. The brand was killed for so long, and then in order to revitalize the brand, you had to wait until Christian Bale gave dignity back to the Dark Knight, which Nolan and Bale did. They brought it back to its darker roots, and we can see that Matt Reeves is also keeping to those dark roots. Pay no attention to the people I just randomly ran over because, you know, I'm Batman. Don't worry about it. Everybody always looks at the gameplay and they don't really pay attention to what I'm saying. But it's interesting that now it finally makes the rounds and people are talking about it, because they're also trying to deflect away from the news about the Flash. And everything that I said is happening. Basically, the media, like CBR, Screen Rant, Forbes, all these like filmmaker people are pointing fingers at the fans and saying, the Snyder fan base is being all toxic again, and it's bad, and, you know, they don't want a female-led Justice League, which nobody does. And, you know, they like to point fingers and yell at people instead of, like, actually being like, oh, maybe we should listen to what the viewers are saying. Nah, Warner Brothers doesn't want to listen to people. They're in the same mindset that they were, if you think about it, almost to the time Keaton was Batman, where they're set in their ways, they want to do their thing, and it's not really the best interest for the characters. You know what I'm saying? So it's a harsh lesson they're going to have to learn, because I can tell you for a fact, in May, it's going to be a bloodbath when Discovery takes over, because here's how you can understand what's going on. Just to keep this real brief. Basically, with Discovery and Warner Brothers is in the mindset where Sony was in 2016 with the failure of Ghostbusters, and Hollywood with the failure of the whole, what do you call it? Charlie's Angel reboot, which was very anti-guy, and, you know, women are OP, things like that. It didn't pan out. And then they kept to that mindset, Warner Brothers did, with the release of the Matrix movie, which everybody hates. It doesn't feel like a Matrix movie. They did everything different. They made the 1-2, and it's not what the general audience wants to see. Weirdos on Twitter, yeah, but the general audience, nah, that's not what they want. So the Discovery guy coming in, and this is why I say it's a bloodbath, okay? Discovery guy coming in, he turned Discovery into a Fortune 500 company by 2014. So he became CEO around 2008, 2007. It's a little sketchy on the details. I'm not a big Discovery person, but his career is very impressive. He's a New Yorker, he's a businessman, he's a family man, and he understands IPs. When he was just recently talking about Warner Brothers' iconic IPs, he didn't say Batgirl, he didn't say Supergirl, he didn't say the Justice League. He said Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and he understands how to utilize these brands. Warner Brothers has this idea, just because Batgirl is connected to Batman, that she's going to put butts in the seats and people are going to go watch her. No. The same thing with Supergirl. Because Supergirl had the CW TV show, they think that a Supergirl-led cinematic universe is going to be successful. No. What they don't understand is the general audience did not like Supergirl after the first season. So they're kind of like running into a big issue, and they're not really going to see what's happening until, you know, the Discovery guy David comes in and basically all Spartan kicks them down the hole like 300 style. Because they're doing the same mistakes that Warner Brothers made when they let go of Keaton for Batman Forever. Where basically, you know, they put Keaton into a wall, and they told him, you need to be Batman because, I mean, even though we're changing Batman, it's not going to be a dark story anymore. They're doing the same thing again, so they haven't learned from their mistakes, so it's time for new management. And that's exactly what's going to be happening. So people on Twitter, they're really blind in thinking that everything's going to be A-okay and nothing's going to happen. Like, nothing's going to change. A new CEO's coming in. It's like, look at the guy's track record. If you really want to think about this, you know, logically, The current CEO of Warner Brothers is basically, in terms of video games, the president of Nintendo before Reggie Fils-Aimé came in. And you can't tell me that Reggie Fils-Aimé did not shake up the industry, because that man did, and he put Nintendo back on the map in the United States. This Discovery guy is going to do some things that people aren't really going to be cool with, but he has the best interest of the fans in mind, just like Keaton had the best interest for the character and the fans when he walked for Batman Forever. So anyway, people, that is going to do it for today's news. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this little breakdown of why Keaton walked away. It's the same thing that I've been saying for as long as I've been a Batman YouTuber, so, I mean, I don't really see how it's news, but again, it's being put out there to distract you from what's going on, so, hey, easy video, right? But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I have another Arkham Origins stream happening late tonight, as well as I gotta jump off and do another stream over on my Let's Play channel, but you guys like these quick and easy videos, so hey, no skin off my teeth, right? Alright, guys. I want to know what you think about Keaton sticking to his guns, and if you think he's going to stick to his guns in The Flash, or if he's a sellout now who just, you know, signed up for a paycheck for 2 films, or if he's still that same Batman that we respect even 30 years later. That's what I want to know. Alright, guys, God bless and happy gaming. Later, Gothamites. Thanks so much for listening to another Bat News, your #1 source for all things Dark Knight and movies, films, video games, comics, and TV. Later.